The blood supply in western Pennsylvania is very low. Now, you can donate at different places around your community, but here in Newcastle, every Tuesday, the Trinity Episcopal Church hosts a blood drive. Brown's attorney, Dennis Alisco, says that might not be the case. He could have gotten that residue on his clothing from just rubbing up against a gun. The intersection of Washington and West Grandview Boulevard is one of the most dangerous in Erie. Dozens of accidents are blamed on this steep hill because you can't see the stop sign, and in winter, icy roads make it difficult to stop. Volunteering is down at the Borough Fire Department, but the Lawrence County Historical Society is having troubles of their own. The society is making big cutbacks, including the position of their director. This year, the peak of fall colors is in mid-October, and the perfect place to see them is Presque Isle. Over the weekend, residents near McClure Run reported a strange odor coming from the creek. That smell is leading to hundreds of dead fish and an investigation by the DEP. Good evening and welcome to downtown Newcastle. We're broadcasting live on WCN from the Columbus Center. Media swarmed in from all over western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio, gathering to see the 11-year-old accused murderer. On Tuesday, Jordan Brown's family, led by his father, Chris, walked into the Lawrence County Courthouse in hopes that the boy would not face a jury.
Dave and I were somewhat disappointed that the case was bound over.
The boy entered the courtroom in shackles and handcuffs, showing little emotion, to hear 10 witnesses testify for nearly 2 hours to evidence ranging from Brown's knowledge on guns, the 6 guns found in his room, and the gunshot residue found on his clothing. Now, the Lawrence County District Attorney says there was gunshot residue on his clothing, and a gun had obviously been fired that day. But Brown's attorney, Dennis Alisco, says that might not be the case. He could have gotten that residue on his clothing from just rubbing up against a gun.
They have slight evidence that maybe suggests perhaps, probably, and that's about all they need to do for today's purposes.
The biggest thing in the courtroom right now is the gunshot residue on the shirt that he was wearing. Those are, despite the questions that were asked, the particles that were obtained are unique to gunshots. And then you can get into a whole bunch of speculation. Well, what if he wore it then, or what if he did this, or what if he did that? Well, that's the shirt he was wearing that day, and he has gunshot on it. The attorneys do agree on one thing: bail.
We're not going to. We don't want him out on bail. We want to continue him up in Erie, the Edmund L. Center, for a little while longer to show that he's amenable to juvenile rehabilitation.
I don't think it's a bailable offense at this point. It's a first-degree homicide case. Under the Pennsylvania Constitution, you are not entitled to bail.
So how is Brown doing in Erie? As well as any 11-year-old murder suspect would be doing, so his family visits him often.
His father visits him at least 6 times a week. His grandmother goes up and visits, and I assume other family members too.
Reporting from the Lawrence County Courthouse in Newcastle, I'm Amanda Conway for the County Line. This is Dave Meyer. He has been donating for about 8 years. Since 9/11, he has come every 8 weeks to give a part of him to help others.
Well, to help people out. People need, everybody needs blood, I guess.
The need for blood is severe. The Red Cross wants to have at least a 5-day supply of blood. Right now, they only have 3 days' worth.
People coming out to give blood, I mean, that's simply it. When people don't give blood, there just isn't any.
The process is simple, but a little overwhelming for a first-timer. First, you come in and fill out your paperwork in a waiting room. You then go over your history in a private booth. This is where you find out if you can give blood or not. Once you get the go-ahead, you lie down on a table, squeeze a ball, and you barely feel the pinprick. The Red Cross reports that 35% of the population can give blood, but only about 5% do. The twist is, about 97% of the population will need blood to save their lives.
You just need to be 16 years of age, 110 pounds, and in good health. That's the basic requirements for giving blood.
Whatever the need for blood is, Dave Meyer is still here every 8 weeks. He says it hardly even affects him.
Maybe a little lightheaded sometimes, but that's no big deal.
The blood supply in western Pennsylvania is very low. Now, if you're interested in donating blood, you can here in Newcastle at the Trinity Episcopalian Church. They're open every Tuesday afternoon. You can donate blood anytime you would like. I'm Amanda Conway in Newcastle, reporting for the County Line. Melissa Hart versus Jason Altmaier. It sounds familiar, doesn't it? In 2006, Altmaier defeated Hart, who served in office for 3 terms. Both Altmaier and Hart recently made stops in New Wilmington. They fielded questions from residents about why they should be elected. Altmaier says that he's made positive changes for the people of the 4th District.
I think that I do have a good record to run on. I've had 24 bills or amendments that I sponsored that have passed the House. 16 became law. I think that's a pretty good record of achievement. I brought $80 million of federal funding back to Western Pennsylvania.
Hart has spent the past 2 years back at her law firm. She feels her time away from Washington has prepared her to return and make reforms in Congress.
I've learned a lot more than certainly a congressman is going to know about how things actually operate in the real world again. And I used to practice law before I went to Congress. While I was a state senator, I was practicing law. So the private sector is what's important. You know, these are the people that any congressman represents. I would be re-energized to go back there and work to clear out people, to stand up and take a stand against people who are abusing the public trust, because otherwise people will never have any respect for the Congress.
Altmaier continues to outspend Hart in negative TV ads. Now Hart is responding, running attack ads of her own. The voters decide November 4th. Reporting for the County Line, I'm Amanda Conway.